Are you depressed? If you are, then you are likely listening to me right now after being cooped up in your home or bedroom for many months alone, isolated from the outside, or at least from social interactions. Or maybe it's something entirely different that makes you think you're depressed. I would like to offer some advice to help you deal with depression, but first I want to make it perfectly clear that I am not a doctor. Do not take my advice as if it was coming from a professional physician. I too am a victim of this illness. Depression, in my opinion, is an illness whose design is to stop you from doing normal functions of life. Talking to friends, strangers, family, interacting calmly with other people, perhaps at work, playing bingo or other functions. To make you feel inferior, to make you feel sad one day, happy another day, or on edge the next day. If you found yourself feeling hyper with a lot of energy and you just didn't know what to do with it, that is also what depression does to you. This is its purpose, to hinder you mentally rather than physically. Now, you may be anxiously awaiting for my advice on how to deal with this illness, and if you are, then you are most likely a sufferer of depression, and are very sick and very tired of it. Because depression and its effects on people are so widely varied, I can't easily give you a clear-cut explanation on what to do, but I can give you a new way to think about this illness. Do you remember the last time you had a coughing cold? The kind of cold that leaves that annoying tickle in the back of your throat. Did you use cough drops or some other medicine to quell the itch in the back of your throat? That's what most people do. But did you ever try to stop yourself from coughing on your own without medicine? Now, if you have, then you realize that it is next to impossible. You feel like your head is going to explode trying to stop that incredible force that makes you cough. That is because that is what the cold is designed to do. Its purpose is to make you cough, and it does a good job. Depression's purpose is to inhibit you mentally. Its job is to distort your mind to where you no longer think correctly about your life and your surroundings. Now, think of stopping yourself from coughing and how hard it is. That is exactly how hard depression is to stop. It is a very hard fight against a very strong illness. Right now there's medicine for depression, but no medicine cures depression. And it is my opinion that there never will be a medicine that can cure depression. The cure for depression rests inside every one of us who suffers from it. Remember I said that depression changes the way we see our lives and our surroundings? Yes, it changes the way we think. If you've studied about depression, then you know it's caused by a change of the chemicals in our brains. But what caused this change? What caused depression to strike? Well, causes are different for everyone, but in general, a constant bombardment of negativity over years of time causes depression. Our minds become exposed to things that our brains were not designed to handle, and in time our brains begin to tire out and are unable to deal with this constancy, and soon we begin to suffer the illness known as depression. The cure? The cure is simple to say, but almost impossible to carry out. You must fight every second of your life to change the way you currently think to the normal way of thinking. Now, what is the normal way of thinking, you ask? I can't answer that question. But what I do is I look at someone else's life who doesn't have depression. I watch them and study how they interact with people, objects, crises, and any other kind of situation. I learn about them and how they see their life and how they feel about those situations. If your depression stops you from feeling comfortable associating with other people, then look at people together and associating with each other. Why can't you be like them, you ask? Because depression is stopping your mind from thinking the correct way. It's normal to talk to other people and do things with them. So you must fight, and fight hard. Hard against the feelings of fear, embarrassment, uneasiness, insecurity, and any other feeling, and go do what your mind is telling you it can't do. You need to exercise common sense and use it to fight against depression. Are you fine talking to your friends, but find it impossible to talk, maybe even to make eye contact with strangers? Look at someone whose job is to talk to strangers every single day. You see those people everywhere. They're at fast food shops, grocery stores, they're behind the register. Sometimes they will engage in idle chit-chat with people who purchase their goods. Why can't you do that, you wonder? Because depression again has stopped your mind from behaving normally. You need to fight. Fight and fight against that feeling that says you can't talk to a stranger. I will assume you understand the point I'm making. You have to do things your mind says you can't do. If someone else can do something that your mind says you can't do, and you're depressed, that is the reason why your mind says so. It is being attacked by that very strong illness known as depression. Do you remember what I said about what causes depression? I mentioned that it happens in general to a prolonged exposure of negativity. Usually depression comes up after years and years of this kind of exposure. Do you know what this means? It's not a good thing. It means that it could very well take years of you fighting every single time you feel insecure on a given situation. It could take years to get to where you no longer feel this way. But don't you think it's worth the battle? Repetition forms habits, and your mind will slowly remember what you wanted to think. You will win the battle against an illness that breaks the lives of millions of people all over the world. You won't need to take any more medicine, because you will finally have beaten depression with your own power, just like your immune system beats the common cold with its power. I will give you an example of my kind of depression. I am terrified of talking to strangers. Sometimes I can't even wave. I can make eye contact, but I cannot see myself talking to them. And one day, I decided to try as hard as I could to fight that feeling, that fear, uneasiness, possible embarrassment, and I talked to a stranger. I didn't say much. I just said a few words, maybe, good morning, how are you today? And they responded, and I said, that's good, I'm glad to hear it, and I kept on walking away. Now that doesn't seem like much, but I had won against depression. It was just a battle, and the war was far from over, but I had won. And that made me feel really good. If you ever feel like that, if you ever do something that you don't want to do, but you make it through it, and at the end of it you're okay, and you feel good, like, hey, I did it. Awesome. Keep that feeling in mind. Do not forget that feeling, because that kind of feeling is what's going to drive you to win the next battle. And after a while, every battle that you win is going to bring you one step closer to being the war's sole survivor. You just have to believe in yourself.